Dude, thank you so much for making time with me. Amy tells me you just finished wrapping up rehearsal.
We didn't wrap up. We're still rehearsing, but I was like, guys, I will be right back. They're like, hey,
Okay.
I was like, we started practice late. I got stuff to do. I'll be back.
Well, dude, thank you so much for doing that. I guess this is a
Yeah.
brief intermission for you before you get into
Yeah,
that.
yeah. This is my I've just been busting my ass. I'm gonna go back down and into the fire pits in a minute.
Hell yeah. Before we talk about the new record, I was doing a little bit of research and doing like some background for our chat. And part
Mhm.
of that is me trying to listen to like other podcasts that you've done or other like interviews and stuff. And the most
Yeah.
recent one that I found was your appearance on the Rocker Dog podcast talking
Yeah, yeah,
about
yeah.
Bruce. So
Yes.
I just wanted to give Bruce a little shout out because
Let's
I think that's
go.
cool.
My son. I'm so excited. I love talking about him. He's like literally like my like most prized possession on this planet. I love him so much.
Yeah, I was talking to my wife Paige, who co-hosts the show with me, about it this morning, and I was just like, I don't know who he is, but that guy has like the best idea for a podcast, just talking to people
Oh,
about
it's
their
so
dogs.
good.
So
It's
good.
so good. And he's awesome. He actually lives like a half hour, 45 minutes from me. His
Oh,
house is
nice.
really nice. He's got a really nice place. And it's like really set up for his dog. Like his dog has so much room to roam. It's like, man, if I had a house like that for Bruce, he would be the most excited.
That's the dream. That's the dream.
It is.
I'll
It is.
I occasionally do like a little feature with our little guy. We've got a little dachshund cross called
Oh.
Reese. So occasionally he gets a little bit desperate for attention. So I'll like hold him up to the
Give
camera
him
for
it.
people.
That's fine. I love it. As long as I get to see him, I'm excited. Him or her?
Beautiful. To him, to him.
Okay. Him.
Yeah. He was originally called PB for peanut butter because he's like all black with like the little peanut butter feet.
That's
But
cute.
we changed the name to Reese for Reese's Pieces because
Yeah, that
it's like
works.
a
That
little in
works.
joke. Similarly
I
to
thought Reese Witherspoon, but same difference.
but I was listening to your pod and I was like, changing the name from Bone to Bruce. As soon as I saw a
Yeah,
photo of him, I'm like, he's a Bruce. It makes sense.
yeah. He is a Bruce. He's a little handsome boy. He's my Bruce. He's Bruce Wayne.
I love
Yeah,
that.
Bruce
Uh,
Wayne Badolato.
yeah, hell yeah.
I was a stranger in a crowd of fools, empty their soul into the race. Until we tore into a tomb, we are plungers into new demise. Life, a perfect reason for us, before there was blood to bleed. Only the dead knew the end.
Let's talk about the new record. So I've been giving it a few run throughs. I love the record. I think it's
Thank
fantastic.
you.
So congratulations on that.
Thank
Um,
you.
it's the band's seventh and the follow up to your previous record, which came out in 2022, Oh What the Future
Mhm.
Holds, which the press information tells me was your highest charting release to date. So, congratulations on that. I wanted to kind of do
Thank
a
you.
little kind of post mortem check in with you. Like, how does it feel to have, I guess, like that previous record be so well received? And does that give you any trepidation about how people will receive the new record?
I mean, I feel like we're always worried about like if if how do you outdo what you just did? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I feel like that's every band's worry, but I feel like we've gone like not worrying so much about that and just like kind of really writing what we really enjoy writing. And I
Yeah.
feel like we're in a position now with this band that like people have enjoyed a lot of the newer stuff, which is really cool. So it makes us really excited to write newer stuff. So I always feel like the next thing we do is going to top what we just did. Because there's always going to be places for those songs. Those songs
Sure.
don't just like depreciate in value to us personally, but I feel like watching the progression of this band with each song that we write is just so cool. Like when we finished this record, me and Will sat in here and listened to it over and over and over and over, and we're like, this was awesome. Like this is really good material for us. That like it's fit for an autopsy. When you listen to it, you're like, this is fit. this is what they do, this is what they push, this is who they are. They found their identity. Like this is the type of band we are.
Yeah.
And I'm really really proud of that. I had a lot of fun recording on this record too. Will is obviously like one of the best producers on the planet, and he's just like so good to work with as well. So, you know, we hype each other up so much in the studio, like with just dumb little things, and it's just it's what makes the recording process so much easier. I used to hate recording. I used to
Yeah.
hate recording so much. Like, I don't know, everything's so isolated and you hear every little thing. And it's like, it gets like, you get really in your head. But like when you have someone that like Will, it's just, you're not in your head anymore. You're just having fun, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what like sometimes when you've been in bands that tour so much for so long, you forget that like you're supposed to have fun doing this stuff. You like turn it into a job. Like I've almost felt that way like halfway through my career with this band, where I was like, damn, I don't want to like turn my brain set into a job for this band. I still want to have fun. Like I was losing fun elements to it, but that was just all in my head, you know? And then once I like regained that and refound that, I was like, this is so much fun. I love recording now. Like I actually enjoy recording.
Yeah. That's awesome. I
Yeah.
think having this idea of like presence, I think is really key, because I agree with you. I think the band's progression has only become more refined and more cohesive from album to album. And I definitely hear all of those elements in that kind of synthesis on this record. But to speak to this idea of presence that you're talking about, kind of take me to the rehearsal room where you guys were writing the record. What kind of conversations did you have about the vision for the Nothing That Is? And I guess on a personal level, like what did you want to achieve with this record?
I guess well, because Will is the majority writer of this entire project. So he writes the majority of literally everything. So he'll sit with us and send us like a bunch of riffs and a bunch of songs and like the ideas of like what we're trying to push for with this record. And I feel like each record we are just kind of just like going after like the state of the world. Like I feel like that's just kind of our thing. We don't really like to talk about, I mean, we can get into personals, like, but it's not very direct. You don't know that it's like, oh, this song's about Joe or this song's about Will or this song's
Yeah.
about whoever. It's just like, it's kind of for the user to interpret and feel like they can like grab onto it and like have some attachment to it and like
Sure.
attach it to themselves. So I feel like this record is definitely you know, titled The Nothing That Is. So it's like we're slipping into like this complete nothingness of like the world that we keep it's not even like progressing. I feel like we're degressing and it's just getting worse and worse. We're watching things fall apart.
Yeah.
And you know, and that's just the stuff that we've always like like I don't want to say thrived off of, because it's not really, you don't ever want to do that, but it's just thrive's not the good word for it. It's just kind of been our motivation to like to write this stuff, because you know we write with emotion. You know, we write with emotion and riffs. So it's I feel like this is a pretty dark record for sure. There's a few songs on this record that are pretty dark, and you know the conversations that we all had coming into this were like all collectively like, we want this to be super dark, we want this to be super emotional, but we also want this to like still feel like Fit For An Autopsy, but we still want to push the new elements that we like to bring to the band. You know, a lot of cool riffs on this record, a lot of cool vocal things on this record, a lot of really cool drum shit on this record too. Like even the bass lines, you know, there's some bass lines in there where I'm just like, this is fucking funky, dude. I love this shit. It's like so cool. But it's just like all these little elements that put it together that just makes it Fit For An Autopsy, which I really, really love. And I think we all came into this with a really good head, where we were all really on the same page. Like we never really have like disagreements when we're like talking about writing a new record. We're just kind of more like pumped to see what it sounds like at the end.
think this record has some of my favorite tracks from the band's like entire catalog. I think the
Thank
fir-
you.
yo, dude, you're welcome. The first time I heard Weaker Wolves, I was just like, this fucking rocks. Like the groove on that
Dude,
track is so sick. It's fucking awesome.
yes.
Yeah.
It hits so hard. That song, I was like, we're definitely playing that one live for sure. Have
Oh,
to.
hell
It's just
yeah.
it's an ass beater. It's just like, I always like compare like you probably do this with other records too. I feel like this is our Iron Moon and Warfare of this album. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's like the ass beater that's got the old school like kind of like semi-hardcore elements to it because we
Yes.
all grew up like hardcore kids before we were just like, but like metal's real sick, you know?
But I mean, that song, like, it marries those two things so well because there's like
Mm,
this epic kind of like rhythmic build up, like the drums and the bass are kind of building like this tension, and then it pops off, and the riffs are there, the vocals are
mhm,
there, like everything is kind of building for like this maximalist, like aggressive release. It's like a
mhm,
cathartic kind of thing, which like that's what
yeah,
hardcore is, that's what metal is. So
100%.
it's all of those things to kind of speak to the lyrical stuff that you mentioned as well. Like, I know that the band has always had these like larger kind of themes at work, like social decay, environmental collapse, and all that sort of stuff. On this record, I feel like there's a little bit of an inward turn. It feels a little bit more existential to me, but there
Mhm,
are points where it's very direct and very explicit. I'm
mhm,
thinking of a song like Red Horizon, for example.
mhm. Oh
There's some
yeah.
there's some fairly explicit kind of call outs in that song to current
Mhm.
events and things that are happening. So like how important is it for you in your vocals, in your performance and in the band largely to kind of speak to things that are really happening, real shit in the world?
I feel like that's just kind of what a lot of the music kind of lacks today is real shit that's happening,
Yeah,
And I feel like we have always never really been afraid to go headfirst into that world where we're like, all right, we all strongly feel this way about this, so I'm not afraid to dive headfirst into this and make a point,
yeah,
and we're all in agreement. Like none of us are in disagreements with this at all. So it's more or less we're gonna always say our beliefs whether it pisses people off or not, and everyone's gonna have their difference of opinions, and anybody could twist however they want to twist it or whatever, but
sure.
you know what we mean if you
Yeah,
know
exactly. And I think that that kind of authenticity has always been a part of the band. And I think like it's just a reaffirmation of that to me. Like it didn't come off
Mhm.
as like some kind of pivot or, triangulated thing. I was just kind of like, oh no,
Yeah,
this is what I would expect from a Fit record.
this is on par for what Fit does. Like, look at
Yeah.
Black Mammoth. A lot of
Yes.
people had no idea that was even happening. At the pipeline, they
That's
had
right.
no idea. They were like, "Oh, what is this?" And it's like, "Yeah, exactly. What is this?" Like, and it helped out a lot. It was like huge, and it felt really good to do something like that, like a voice for the voiceless, if you will.
Yes.
Um, and after doing something like that, it just kind of made it so yeah, we're not afraid to keep doing that. you know
Yeah.
we'll
Hell yeah.
we'll keep doing that. Like we're going to keep pushing the limits to everything. We all have very strong stances on things, and definitely human rights is a huge part of that. So
Yeah, hell yeah. No, I think that's incredibly well said. There's one other element that I wanted to touch on, which I think is maybe tangential to the record, but I'm hoping it kind of links back into the new record. But between
mhm.
the last album and this one, you had the opportunity to fill in for Lamb of God and step into the shoes of Randy Blythe. So I want to kind of ask you how that experience was, and did you take anything away from that experience that you maybe fed into the new record and your vocals and your performance?
I mean, if anything, that was just like a kid in a candy shop that day. I was just so excited. Like, you know, when does like your favorite band on the planet like one of the bands that got you into listening to extreme heavy metal music hits you up and is just like, hey, can you help us out? And I was like, what do you need me to do? Carry around a microphone or something? They're like, no, like we actually need you to do vocals. I was like, haha, I'm kidding, right? Yeah.
That's
They're like, no,
insane.
seriously. I was like, when? They're like, tomorrow. I was like, shit. Like I just got home from tour and I had like a week off and then I was going back out again.
Yep.
Um and I was like, all right, see you tomorrow. So I just practiced my ass off. Like Mark Morton called me and he was like, hey, let's build this set. Like, what songs do you know? I was like, can we bring back like a super old one that I don't know if you guys will say yes to? And he's like, oh, what is it? And I was like, Black Label. He's like, oh, fuck yeah, we'll play Black Label. I was like, yes,
That's
yes,
so
yes, yes,
sick.
yes, 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 yes. Oh, it's one of my favorite songs on the planet. One of my favorite songs on the planet. And I was just like, this just made my night. So, fast forward to I'm there at the show and just to see the production, just to see how everything is done from behind the scenes now with a band so big like that,
Yeah.
it gave me so much motivation to like I really want Fit to get to this stage. And I think we can if we just keep pushing it. If we keep doing what we do, we can be this big,
Yeah.
Um so just seeing all of that and just seeing how good their team works and how strong their team is, like everyone on that team has like a job and a purpose and they all execute it so well and they're all such nice people. Like there wasn't like a sore thumb in their camp, which was like really refreshing to see, because we've been on tours where like some crew members are just like just not approachable. It's just like these guys are all just sick. They're just loving life. So
Yeah.
and to play in like in an arena with like Megadeth, fucking Trivium, In Flames, I was like, this is crazy. Dave Mustaine walking up to me and being like, hey, you're Joe, right? I was like, wow, yeah. How the fuck did you know my name? Like, that's so nuts. Like, what the hell, dude? Oh, it was just what an experience, dude. But the big takeaway for me from that was literally just like hunger. I wanted it. I wanted it so much more than I wanted it before now. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, totally.
we are all of us in bands, we're all really hungry to get to that place. But once I got a taste of it, once I had that filet mignon and that salmon at the fucking catering, oh, dude, I was hungry for it.
Fuck yeah.
I want that life. I want to be in that position. I want to tour like that.
Yeah.
I want that level production. I want fucking flames.
Absolutely.
I want a big ass Fit For An Autopsy rug. Yeah. Yeah, I do. I want all that shit. I want a big ass fucking steel box to stand on that's got cool lights and smoke under it.
Absolutely.
Fuck yeah. I want all that shit. Yeah. I
You
want a big
deserve that shit.
I want a big explosion that happens and scares the shit out of me, even though I know it's coming. Yes, I want all of that.
The band's progression, the band's career, and more specifically this new record are all things that are going to build the band to that level. And I have no reservations and no doubt in saying that. I guess to wrap up our conversation, if you could impart one takeaway for listeners when they hear the full record, what would you want them to take away from it?
That's a good question. Wow, that is a really good question. What do I want them to take away from this? Just understand that we're in a really dark place in our lives, and it doesn't, we don't need to make it worse by making it really dark for everybody else. We can kind of give ourselves a positive mind and a positive attitude to not be so negative and just fight with people for no reason just because you have a real strong belief on something. Sometimes just let things be. It is what it is. We're going to fall into this like rabbit hole of just horridness that the world has to offer us right now, and make the best of it. And if you can apply some of these songs to your life and maybe it helps you, awesome. That's what I really want people to do, is just like listen and hope that it like helps you um have some closure on some certain things and maybe apply it in your life.
Yeah,
So
perfect. I think that's incredibly well said. Nothing That Is out on October 25th. I will put links in the description for people to pre-order, stream, check it out, do all that shit. Joe, thank you so much for coming on the show.
good. Thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was awesome. Thank you so much. Subscribe now to the Pitch of Discontent Patreon to receive access to extended cuts of our bonus episodes, as well as exclusive behind-the-scenes content, monthly Patreon-only episodes, member-only votes, the TPD community chat, and much more. Go now to patreon.com/tpdpod and join for as little as $5 a month. That link again is patreon.com/tpdpod. Thanks for watching the show.